Welcome back to Cards and Comics. Now, with the National Sports Collectors Convention rapidly approaching, and with me just doing a video talking about my want list for 2023, and on that want list I talked a lot about King Griffey Jr. cards. That's one of my areas of collecting focus. Now, there's a lot of King Griffey Jr. cards that I have termed cards I hate that I have to collect them. And the reason why could be, the cards sometimes are highly altered. Sometimes they're cards that have other factors that make them less appealing, even though I might like the card itself, that make me not want to collect it. And I'll get into it, and there's just a few cards I want to talk about, but these are some big cards that, to me, in the King Griffey Jr. world, and this applies to other cards as well, that make me not really want to collect them, but they are really important cards, either from their historical value, just their value in general, but through other factors, they make me not want to collect them. So we'll get right into it with the 1994 Upper Deck King Griffey Jr. Mickey Mantle Dual Auto. And this, what I'm showing here, is a good example of one of the issues I have with this card. This card was made in three versions. You either had a Mantle Auto by itself, a Griffey Auto by itself, or the Mantle Griffey together. Now, the Mantle Griffey together auto is the big alpha and omega card. Like, it's the one that makes people, really love the card, because you've got a player like Mantle from a different generation, kind of the best player of his time, with King Griffey Jr., which is the best player of his time, and it only happened one time. So this is a one-time event only card, so it makes people really love the card. I do too. I remember this card when it came out. I love this card. But what makes me not like this card is for a couple reasons. One, the big dog in the room is this, is that there's no difference in any of the cards from how they were issued. So what they should have done is they should have made the Mantle Auto by itself, like, M1, and then the Griffey card by itself, K1, and then the Mantle Griffey Auto, MK1, or something like that, right? So what they, by not, really having different numbering or different ways to distinguish between the cards, what people are doing is they're either forging Mickey Mantle's signature on a Griffey card, or they're taking the Mantle Auto, and this is more often, they're taking a authentic Mantle Auto and going to King Griffey Jr. at a card show and having him put his signature on the card. Now, the one I'm going to look here first is the Probstein one. To me, is obviously a later period King Griffey Jr. auto that was put on top of a Mantle single auto. Because most of the Griffey Jr. autos I see that came out of the packs have two factors. One is a lot of times they're faded, a little streaky, but they look like the one below it, which is a longer, more complete King Griffey Jr. auto than you see in his later, more shorter, I call almost like a circular looking auto, versus this sort of like very straight and linear auto, which you see on a lot of his 94 autos. Now, could there be variation in his auto? Sure. But I've actually seen this card, this Mickey Griffey Jr. auto, where you've got a blue Griffey auto, which didn't exist. You didn't see any King Griffey Jr. pack pulled autos with blue pen. So this card, to me, that's a secondary or aftermarket auto. So does the fact that some people forge a Mickey Mantle auto on a Griffey auto? Yes. I think that I have seen autos where I would think that the Mantle itself is a forge. More often I see an aftermarket Griffey auto on an authentic Mantle card. But the other thing that people do is the Griffey auto is sometimes very streaky. So I've seen people retouch, or they alter the Griffey auto to make it more desirable. We'll scroll through to see if there's any other obvious aftermarket Griffey autos. This one is a little iffy to me because you can see how close it is to the Mantle. Now, could the Mantle be an aftermarket? This is one of those things that's tough, because that Mantle versus that Mantle do look different to me. And so, again, this is why this card has lost a lot of its appeal to me, because of all these, secondary, alterations. And this is a really interesting one to me, that someone bought this Mantle by itself, right? And you can see how far over that Mantle auto by itself goes, right? Doesn't give the Griffey a lot of room to put his auto on. I think this card, for example, sold almost the same price as this duel here for two big reasons. One is looks like an aftermarket Griffey auto, and the collectors are finally catching on. You know, I'm not paying $9,000 or $10,000 for basically a card that wasn't pack pulled with both autos. But could someone pop this card out and then add a Griffey auto to it to make it worth up here where this card was selling for $10,000, $9,000? I think this is what has made this card, you know, not as appealing to me as it used to be. The Griffey by itself is a $700-$800 card, but you can see what the Griffey by itself auto looks like. Remember, I said it's kind of linear and kind of very almost like you know, like a lot of just lines, you know, in that card. You know, where if you look at, to me, the aftermarket autos have this kind of roundness to them that you don't see in the original King Griffey Jr autos, which are right here. And he was very consistent back in those days with his auto, in my opinion. And so I think the aftermarkets are pretty obvious. And again, you have to worry about going both ways. So this is why that card has lost a lot of appeal to me. Why I don't think spending $8,000 to $10,000 on this card is worth it, unless I'm 100% sure, you know, like, you know, that the card itself was pack pulled and it was, you know, in the state that it's originally in. This first one here that's sold for $10,795, that Griffey auto does look real and it's a little faded. So you may actually have to take a poor condition auto just to have one that you can be sure came out of a pack. Next up is the 91 Desert Shield. So the reason why this is on the list is because in a PSA 10, this card sells for an enormous amount of money. But the problem with this card is the fact that these Desert Shield, you know, stamps have been forged quite a bit. And there's a great thread on Blowout Forums where it goes into what a real and a fake stamp are. So that's a fake stamp. Okay, that's a fake, you know, that's a fake stamp. Just want to stop here to give you, they do a close-up on it. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down. You can see, look at the flag is one of the big indicators, and the letters here, right? So the letters and the flag. But what I'm going to get into, the fact is that these fakes have gotten so good, they're very hard to tell. So there is the flag, there is the letters. We're going to go down again. Look at the flag, look at the letters. Another fake one, flag and letters. Again, the thickness of the border here. So here's a real one. Okay, guys, here's the real one. Look at the flag. Oh, it's like almost got missing pieces. The Operation Desert Shield it's not struck really well, but it's got a kind of a different font. So again, those are some telltale signs. But you get down, okay, here's another real one, right? But this flag is intact. But you can see the Operation Desert Shield still missing a piece of the O, so not well struck. Okay, so, but, you know, it does change a little bit in terms of, like, I look at these like, some of these look different, right? Some of them, the flag is perfectly there. Some of them, you got a little gap. Okay, so these are all real stamps. Then you get to fake. Okay, that one looks pretty easy. That flag looks really different. Okay, real. The flag's got a little missing piece there. That one's got intact. Okay, real. But this flag looks really different right here. This one in the middle of the screen. That doesn't look the same to me as some of these. And then you get the fakes. I mean, it's hard to tell, guys. I mean, you need almost like a PhD. That fake does look really fake in that middle screen. But again, there's a lot of things here, right? How close those lines are, you know, the shield itself, those two circles, you know, you can see how close they are and just how poorly struck a lot of these cards were in terms of just the foiling. But here's a fake stamp on a Griffey PSA 9. So just because they're graded doesn't mean that it's real. And it's not just PSA, Beckett's graded fakes, SGC's graded fakes. There isn't just a, you know, one company who can't grade these, you know, with fake stamps. These fake stamps. And again, from this far away, that is tough to really determine real or fake. So this card lost a lot of appeal to me because, again, having a graded version doesn't really help you. These cards are very expensive. And to tell the difference between the real and fakes, I mean, you're talking like minutia of detail in some cases that it's easy to get fooled. And I don't want to have to get a PhD, in Desert Shield logo to be able to buy one of these cards. So I've just stayed away from it. It's really been one of those things that has really kept me away from this card. Is just the fact that they're so easy to fake, they're so prevalent, and that even major companies like PSA have a hard time catching them. And the last card I'm going to really talk about, and it's really cards, but the first one is going to be right here, I think right at the top. Yes. So this is a 2-for-1. The 89 Upper Deck King Griffey Jr. So the PSA 10. I don't care about it. I don't care about the 89 Upper Deck Griffey PSA 10. It is a card that I've proven through my channel. If you want to go back in history to see where I talk about how this card basically is pop controlled. It's statistically impossible that this card has such a low pop count. The only reason why it has such a low pop count is because Upper Deck wants to protect it to give people a chase. So they'll keep, PSA, not Upper Deck. So PSA will have cards that people will submit. This is the most submitted card in the history of PSA. By controlling this pop count on a very popular player on a card that's really easy to find. There's millions of these Griffey Jr. rookie cards made. The only way they can make the card worth any money or get people to submit it is by controlling the pop. And that's why this pop 10, to me, I don't care about. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on a card that's literally one of millions. When I can take that money and buy a card that's numbered to 30, numbered to 50, numbered to 100, that actually has some real scarcity. Now, the other thing is this is a 2-for-1 because this has got the auto. And people paying $14,000 for a PSA 10 with an auto or just an autographed version of this card. King Griffey Jr. is still alive. He's going to autograph thousands, hundreds of thousands of these cards before it's all said and done. I don't care. I don't care about this card. I'm not paying thousands of dollars for a 10. I'm not paying any more money for an autographed version. It's just, to me, like it doesn't exist. And what I'm saying about it is like people are like, well, you don't have an 89 Upper Deck King Griffey Jr. PSA 10, so you're not in the upper echelon of Griffey collecting. I'm like, I don't care. Now, if I ever get one, okay, if I just, got in a trade, somebody offered me one at some sort of insane, crazy deal, I just submit 5 of them for fun and one comes back at 10, fine, I'll have it in the collection, but I'm not going to actively go out and find this card, in this grade or even autographed. The other ones I want to talk about is just these modern autographs, right? Here's one with a, bat barrel. Here's another, 10, auto grade, right? I'm not paying thousands of dollars for these cards. But just these modern autos, right? Here's a Dynasty patch number 5 of 5. To me, for $5,000, you can buy an essential credential. You could buy a lot of really nice. I could buy an established. I could buy a man, the man refractor. I could buy a lot of really scarce, cool Griffey cards. They're going to keep making these Dynasty patch autos year after year, year after year, year after year. So if I want to get one eventually, I can find one. Probably a lot cheaper as they keep making more of them. So I'm not interested. So again, it's not like I don't want to have a King Griffey Jr. cool patch auto. I just don't want to overpay. So again, I like the card, but it's a post playing day Griffey card, which is kind of outside of what I normally collect. They're very cool looking, but again, I don't really need to have them. I can just wait it out and get one that's a good price. Again, Griffey Jr., Hank Aaron, and Mike Trout, cool auto. But again, they're going to keep making these kind of cards. Especially a Mike Trout or Ohtani Griffey. They'll keep doing that over and over because they are easy chase hits for them to make. And so to me, these kind of modern autos are cool. They're awesome looking. But to me, I'm not going to chase them until I get one that's at a price point. Or I've exhausted all of those cool 90s cards. And I'm now down to these kind of cards to get. I still want to chase Griffey and still want to collect cool cards. So that's the Griffey cards that I kind of hate to collect. In some cases, I'm not going to collect them. I'm going to wait. In some cases, I'm only going to do it unless I'm really, really sure and do a lot of research and have maybe experts like on the Desert Shield, like have 5 blow up, forum guys tell me they think it's real before I ever pull the trigger. So that's it, guys. Tell me what cards you collect that you kind of hate to have to collect, because to have a set or to have your favorite player, you have to have a certain card and you just hate to have it. Another good example for me is like a 71 Topps OJ Simpson. I hate having to buy an OJ Simpson card, but I like the 71 Topps set. And when I was putting the full set together, I had to get the OJ Simpson, and that card is very expensive and high grade. So that's a good example of another card I hate to have to buy, but to get the set, I had to get an OJ Simpson card. So that's it, guys. That's the video. Hope you like it, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.